eu matei. Matei muito.
It's almost a little bit fat. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So on the last episode you saw me reaching the end of Trans-Amazonian Highway. And yeah, this is where the road ends. And on the other shore of this river there is nothing but just thick Amazon jungle for thousands and thousands of kilometers further. And I got my backpack ready and I got my blade sharp. And I'm about to dive deep into that wilderness. So follow my hike, because this will get really interesting. But getting to the other shore is not such easy hassle, because there is no official fare or some official boat who could take me there. So at the moment I'm trying to hitchhike some kind of a boat. In fact, I found myself in a gas station where all local boats of the area are coming to get some gas, and I'm trying to convince some local dudes to take me to the other shore. But just don't get me wrong, there are some people living out in here. In fact, there are some houses, some tiny houses all along the river. And there is even a little bit of cattle farming going on, even though I find myself within the limits of one really large national park, protected area. So it doesn't make sense, but I guess it makes sense if you're in Brazil. And further that way, roughly 15 kilometers deep into the jungle, there are some massive, giant indigenous reservations. So big that combined some of them are bigger than some small countries in Europe. Anyway, I'm not allowed to go there because I don't have a permission. And if I would try to enter these indigenous lands illegally, my actions could have some very serious repercussions. But sometimes those indigenous folks, they just leave reservation and they just roam around these areas as well, hunting and fishing and so on. And I was also told that there are some regular Brazilian folks living out there in the jungle, also hunting and fishing, even though we find ourselves in protected area, but you know. So in the end, I really don't know what to expect. I think I just should expect the unexpected, and this will be one really interesting hike. So what is the purpose of this hike? Where am I heading? Well, purpose of this hike is the usual, to explore, and I have one particular destination on my mind. You see, somewhere deeper in the jungle there are two huge lakes, and I'm pretty sure there's got to be some caimans living in there, and I think it is a pretty good spot to find some anacondas. Good morning. So yesterday I was walking along this river, Rio Purus, pretty much all day. And I was moving very slowly, and in fact I'm still right on the shore of this river. And this little path that I saw on the map, which might lead me to one of those lakes, is still far away. Probably it's roughly 3 kilometers further ahead. And sleeping next to this river, well, I slept really well, but since the early morning hours it's like sleeping next to the highway. It's really active, there's a lot of movement in this river, whether it's fishermen or just regular people. But also this morning, a really bad accident happened. Yeah, or maybe it happened last night, but I saw the outcome of it this morning. And I only have myself to blame for it, but it is what it is. This is what happened. So yesterday I came here pretty late and the sun was going down and I was just looking for any place to set up my camp. And I found this little spot, and the only issue was this bush. So I decided to chop it down, and it was pretty dry already, so I used it for fire. And then I hung my hammock in here, and I felt the distance between the hammock and the trunk was pretty big, so I thought there is no threat. But probably as I was moving throughout the night, somehow I managed to scratch the bottom of the hammock. And this morning, as I was climbing out of the thing, the bottom just opened up. Conclusion, I don't have hammock no more. And this is a real drag because, yeah, this hammock served me well for the last 7 months. It's by far the most comfortable way of sleeping in the jungle. But yeah, what happened happened. It's just my foolish decision and I made a mistake. Yeah, not making big dramas, just moving ahead. I think this will be a tough lesson. There was a really big group of squirrel monkeys jumping right above my head like a minute ago, but now they're all gone. Anyway, so I found this little jungle path, this little trail, and I have no idea where it leads, but I just checked on my GPS, and so far I'm moving straight to one of those lakes. So I wouldn't be too surprised that this is where this path will get me to, hopefully. I mean, this will make this first stretch of my hike so much easier. Although, with the hammock that is torn apart, I guess I just know how to throw myself into trouble. So my friend, if you ever wondered how some lake, wild lake in the middle of Amazon rainforest looks like, well, that's how. And it was much easier to get here than I thought. I mean, I guess it was no-brainer that that path leads to the lake. And I can clearly see that there are some people living down there. I mean, I couldn't see anything from the satellite map, you know. You only see jungle and that's that. But that's where I'm heading next. But first I need to eat. And also would like to explore a little bit of this part of the lake, because it's some sort of a swamp and I see so many birds in there. Wow, I saw so many birds, and there are definitely some caimans living out there. I'm still not sure whether spectacled caimans or black caimans, because I saw 2 of them in just for a split second jumping into the water. But one of them was pretty big, so they might be even black caimans living out there. And then, as I was crossing the swamp, and it's a very swampy area in here, I saw one big snake, which was either young anaconda or false water cobra. By the way, false water cobra has nothing to do with true cobras. It's just big aquatic snake that can be found in the fresh waters of South America, you know. It's just the name. Anyway, so I saw that snake also just for a split second, so I was just running to grab it. But then it just disappeared in the water. So for about 1 hour, maybe 1 hour and a half, I was just looking for this one big snake. Unfortunately, I failed. Usually when they're gone, but yeah, it's really promising, this lake. It's really swampy, you know. But now I'm really hungry, and above all, I'm really thirsty, and I'm completely out of water. So I'll rush to the lake. I need to filter some water, and I need to eat some really big meal. Because from what I saw this morning, this afternoon, night might be promising, really. It's at the night time when jungle comes alive, so I'm really curious what I could see here. Fascinating. Tremendous. I got my pasta ready. Now I need to get some veggies. If you, my friend, one day will end up in the Amazon rainforest starving, or in any other rainforest for that matter, you know, there is always a quick solution. All you need is just a machete or a big knife. In Spanish language, they call it corazón de palmito. In Portuguese, I guess it's coração do palmito. It is the heart of the palm tree. And this source of carbohydrates can be found in almost any palm tree. And you know there are many different species of palm trees. You need to search for it right where the trunk ends and those giant leaf starts. That's where palmito can be found. Nutritional value is pretty low. I think it's about 100 calories per 100 grams, so 100 grams of this is like 20-25 grams of sugar, if I'm not mistaken. But in case of survival, this is pretty delicious solution. Now the negative part of extracting these palm trees is that in order to get a little bit of this, you need to kill entire tree. And I chose one that was a little bit crooked among many others because there is one really dense thick palm tree forest down there next to the lake, just for the show. And in southeastern Brazil and northeastern Argentina and eastern Paraguay, well, where there is a Atlantic rainforest, some of the palm trees even became endangered due to this overexploitation. And I have heard that certain parts of Amazon rainforest are also facing somewhat similar issues. So this is only survival food and nothing else. You know. So I'm just packing my stuff, and under my backpack I found this little Brazilian wandering spider. And just a single bite from that spider could put me in a serious trouble. But you know, I like all the animalitos. So I guess some of you might be wondering how I was sleeping last night, since yesterday I managed to foolishly destroy my hammock. Well, I came up with some solution, some basic solution. Well, this part of the hammock is still a perfect mosquito net. The problem, the fundamental issue is the bottom, because there's a big hole. So what I did, I just cleared out this part of the forest floor, like all the leaves, everything, because this is where potentially dangerous animals might be, like scorpions, spiders, and ants, and so on and so on. And then, as I was walking through the swamp, I found this bottom of some rotten boat. There was definitely some fishing going on in that lake, and I think there is still some fishing going on. So I found this bottom and I used it as my bed. And then on top of it I placed my hammock, and then I dropped my sleeping bag inside, so I somewhat covered these holes so all kinds of critters can't get inside. I mean, it's not 100% isolated, definitely not, but like 98%-ish, okay? At least no mosquitoes were getting in. So that's my Eastern European ingenuity. Whoa, I can't believe I'm starting my hike early now. It's already getting hot, I'm all sweaty. And it took me ages to pack my stuff. You know, I woke up, I had to do some cooking, I had to filter some water, and then to pack everything. And frankly, last night I went to sleep very late too, because I went for you know, nocturnal exploration. I was walking around with a flashlight looking for some wildlife. But frankly, I haven't seen that much. I've seen a little bit, some stuff, but not even a single snake. So I just went back to my camp and that's that. But now I'm hiking deeper into the rainforest, And first I want to get to the other end of this lake. And yesterday at night, as I was looking for caimans, and yeah, there are some caimans in this lake, I saw some lights at the other end of this lake. So I wonder whether somebody's living there or it's just some fishermen. But I guess soon we will find out. So let's go. So I guess that this is where Mr. Fisherman of the area is staying. And I'm talking some big time fishing because I just spotted some really big fishing net right across the lake, right here. So I guess that person who is staying here, well, he's making a living from that. And to be frank, when you look at this stretch of this area of the Amazon rainforest from satellite map, it looks like a rainforest. And it's also a protected area, some sort of a national park. But there is so much of human activity taking place in here. I mean, I haven't met anybody yet, but there are traces of fishing, hunting, and even logging all over the place. And to be frank, after all of this time in Brazil, I was kind of expecting that. So it didn't come as a big surprise, but still, you know, no wild nature, unfortunately. Well, let's have a look. Oh, there's some nice platform. There is some gear for cooking. And then there's a mattress for sleeping. Oh, and there's even cute little broom. It's not too bad. Not too bad at all.
Eu moro na cidade, aí eu sempre pescar aqui.
Ok. E você tem uma senhora ou filhos? Ou...
Aí, ixi, filho tem muitos.
Ok. Quantos filhos você tem?
16.
16 filhos?
Uhum.
Oh, não.
O menor tá com 13 anos.
Ok. Uau. Impressionante, muito.
É.
E você não tem medo de estar aqui sozinho? Não passa onça, não passa nada?
Passa, às vezes passa.
Às vezes passa, sim. Aqui esse sítio, aqui essa área tem onça, não? E onde eu vi o jacaré?
Ixi, tem muito aí.
Tem muito?
Tem.
Mas esse jacaré pequeno e jacaré negro, qual é?
Tem grande também.
Também? E ataca a gente ou não?
Não.
Ah, ok.
Graças a Deus até agora não.
Now this fisherman that I met, he told me that a little bit further there's even a house with some dude living in there. So there are plenty of people around. And yet another trail, huh? And yet another fisherman's shelter. Now you can see that this construction stands on wooden poles that keeps it above the ground, because this is so-called várzea, or a flooded forest, and during rainy season, for about 2-3 months, all of this stretch, all this part of the rainforest gets under the water. So it floods, and floods heavily. Once again, Titius metuendus. In scientific circles they call these animals of great medical significance, which means if you get a little bit of venom from the tip of that tail, you may have some very serious issues, my friend. Well, I really don't know what are the official stats, if such thing even exists. But judging from my personal experience in the Amazon rainforest so far, this is the most common snake of Amazon basin. It's either Pseudoboa coronata or Pseudoboa newidii. Those are two very closely related species, and I still haven't learned how to tell the difference. And I keep on finding these snakes everywhere. I kept on finding juvenile snakes, baby snakes, now I found this beautiful adult. And this one must be the most beautiful I've found so far. Because just have a look how the snake looks like. There's not even a single scar on it, you know. This snake really had a good life. No ticks, no scars, yeah. It's almost a little bit fat. And these animals, they never strike, they never bite, but today I learned that sometimes they defecate on their predators. I mean, this snake just pooped on me, so yeah, it stinks. But yeah, nonetheless, beautiful animal. So yesterday I went to this fishing spot where I met that fisherman and we spoke, and he told me I can stay around. But when I came here, he was gone. And apparently he was fishing all night. But today in the morning I wake up and I see he's coming back. And he's not bringing fish. He's dragging something big from the water.
É à noite. Qualquer hora da noite. Anoiteceu aí fica bom da gente matar eles. Aí hoje eu vou matar só um mesmo, que é pra mim fazer o filé pra comer.
So last night he managed to stab a caiman with a harpoon. And now he brought it to the shore, chop into pieces and to get a lot of meat. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's really a weird experience and something new. I mean, to see somebody hunting caimans in the middle of Amazon rainforest. But it also left me a little bit frustrated because this is definitely illegal activity. Even the dude himself admitted that that's illegal.
Aí pra fora o pessoal proíbe matar, mas eu mato. Eu toda a vida matei. Desde 37 anos de pesca que eu tenho, toda a vida eu matei. Matei muito.
But then he said that, oh, you know, I'm hunting caimans all my life and everybody's hunting. And he's right about one thing. I'm pretty sure that everybody's hunting caimans around here. I mean, all throughout this trip I saw illegal hunting and fishing everywhere in all these infamous protected areas in Brazil and the Amazon. It's just ongoing pattern throughout my journey. People just hunt wherever regardless of the law. Law exists in paper, and in reality people just run their lives the way they used to. So I found myself at the shore of yet another lake called Lago Macieri, if that's the correct pronunciation. And for today my plan is to walk around this lake and explore wildlife a little bit. And I was told that around this lake there are no trails, there are no paths, like it's quite wild. there are no people living around. But I'm pretty sure I can hear some chainsaw going on somewhere out there in the jungle. So there's definitely some logging going on, and I'm quite sure it's illegal logging, so I really don't know. I mean, I have doubts if Mr. Logger would be very happy to meet some gringo with cameras passing by. But I'll try to avoid this person or these people working out there and just mind my own business. So I just crossed this tiny Igarapé, although it was really muddy. This little muddy river that flows into this lake. And I know that ahead of me there is another river that I will need to cross. But actually I just met those loggers in there and I wasn't filming. But we had a small chat and they told me that they kept on seeing one really big anaconda in that another river ahead of me. So that's where I'm heading now. I mean, people say many things, but I guess that's my best bet. Seems I managed to reach this another small river, but to be honest it looks more like some muddy pond than a river. And this place is completely full of black caimans. I saw like 7 already just around here, and now they all went under the water. So there are 6 species of caimans that can be found throughout Central and South America, and 5 out of 6 don't get too big. Those are relatively small crocodilians. But black caiman is exception, and especially males of black caiman get huge. You know, those are some of the top predators in Amazon rainforest. And I just saw one really huge male passing by here. So I don't know about crossing this river. I mean, they almost never attack people. Chances of getting attacked are like slim to none, but accidents do happen. And that caiman that I saw here was so huge. Well, now it's down there. But yeah, I think I'll need to look for some shallow part to cross this river, because I need to get to the other shore if I want to walk around this lake. And then there's another problem. I'm horribly thirsty. This water filter, well, I tried to clean it as much as I can before this hike, but I think it's completely stuck with mud. So the only thing I can do is just boil my water. In fact, I drank some water from the lake, because once I met that gentleman, that fisherman who killed that caiman, well, asking for some water, and he brought me a bucket full of water, and I just started drinking. Oh, I was so thirsty. And then I asked him where he got that water from, and quite obviously he said, oh, it's from the lake. And around these areas, people, they just drink water straight from the river or straight from the lake. So technically I already drank quite a lot of water from this lake, but water from this particular Igarapé doesn't look too tempting. So I think I need to get some fire going, I need to boil some water, and in the meantime I'll start looking for that anaconda. Chances of finding this huge snake are really slim, but if there is even the slightest possibility, I want to try, because this looks like a perfect place. So I just started doing some cooking, boiling some water, and out of a sudden it's raining. And it's raining really heavily. Yeah, everything switched like in 10 minutes, you know. It got cloudy and now it's pouring. I need to get this water. Whoa, it was raining for 2 hours straight. And then I started walking along this Igarapé, along this little river, just to find some shallow place to cross. But after this rainfall, water level rose, like immediately. And I walked quite a bit, but yeah, it's just too deep and too muddy. I mean, I carry a lot of gear, a lot of equipment with me. I have a laptop with me, I have this camera into which I'm talking at the moment. So I can't lose that, you know. And then I went even further and vegetation got very thick. So at some point I went pretty far from this Igarapé. And I even felt a bit lost. And I think it's not an embarrassing to say, but I had to walk back to the lake using GPS on my phone. And even my phone is dying, the battery is dying, along with my last battery for the camera. So I think I should be slowly heading back. I mean, it's still a pretty long way back. I will need to find some nice place to camp. And given the circumstances with my hammock, this will be pretty complicated. It is really interesting to walk through jungle, because from time to time you find these areas with large trees and it's pretty easy to move. And then there are those patches of rainforest with very thick vegetation, especially on lowlands and swamp areas and along rivers and lakes, like in this case. And then you just need to chop it down with your machete. However, I think that we're naturally wired to move towards easier space, like where it's easier to move along, you know. So yeah, I noticed that when I'm moving through jungle, I instantly start walking where I need to work with machete less, you know, next to those bigger trees. And I think that's the mistake that people make, because it's really easy to lose direction and just start walking in circles. And once you get lost in the rainforest, oh boy. Good evening. So I'm back in town of Labria, in this beautiful little shitty room I managed to rent for myself. And very unfortunately, but I don't have any video content from my way back from the jungle, simply because all of the batteries for my camera died. And my way from the jungle was rather entertaining, because once I managed to get to the river, I was just standing there on the shore trying to hitchhike some boat. And you know, back in the day, before all of this bikepacking, I was really crazy hitchhiker. Let's say I crossed Europe hitchhiking so many times I don't even remember. And these days I was sort of losing my boat hitchhiking virginity, and that was a lot of fun. And to be very frank, I was thinking that once I'll be back in Labria, I will just sit somewhere by the river and I will give this long speech, this long monologue, this long rant about illegal hunting in South America and environmental issues in developing world and so on, since I met that Cayman hunter back in the jungle. But ever since I'm back, it's just raining, it's just pouring, and to be honest, I'm really tired. I really need to take some rest. So all I want to say is that I hope you really enjoyed this little video of mine, and if you really like the stuff that I'm making, please share, like, subscribe. You know, tell your uncles about my channel, tell your cousins and your second cousins about my channel, and then tell all of your neighborhood about my channel, and maybe somehow I'll be able to make something out of this project. But for now, good night, my friends. I'll see you down the road.